You are dead center of the greatest scientific event in the history of man.
If you've created a conscious machine, it's not the history of man. That's the history of gods.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Movie Calendar. My name is Lee.
And my name's Terence.
And this week for episode 15 we are going to be talking all about Alex Garland's directorial debut, EX MACHINA.
Very cool.
Yeah, what a wonderful film. Ever since I saw this one, I've always recommended it to people, and now's an opportunity to add it to the movie calendar. So I'm very excited.
I'd only seen little snippets here and there of trailers. Never actually, can't remember seeing the full trailer, but saw the film for the very first time earlier today.
It's so good.
I've
So
seen
we're
it once.
fresh.
Fresh, fully ready to speak about the emotive reactions that I'm having.
Yeah, it's going to be fresh off
like-
the dome, which is going to be
like an
super
allergy.
nice. Now, we didn't get a chance to
Yeah.
last week because we knew that the Moonlight episode was going to be a big one, and it was our longest to date.
It was huge.
But so much fun. Incredible film to talk about for that amount of time. In fact, that probably didn't even do it justice, the amount of time we spent on it. But yeah, go and check that one out if you're interested. But I didn't even get a chance to ask you, Terence, because that was our first one back. How was your holiday?
Oh, it was good. It was good. I got to travelled in the state to a warmer part of the world. It was nice. Just met with family, just had some real chill time, spent time with my family, and it was nice. Yeah. What about your holiday?
Yeah, good. Mine was just a nice, relaxing kind of getaway. Just had to kind of, decompress a little bit. There's some heavy things that have been happening in the world and in our area, so it was nice to kind of just, sort of decompress and relax. Mine was only a few days away, but it was very well needed.
Well, we all need to do it. Everyone should do it. Hopefully, everyone gets a chance to do it. And when you're on your long drive out there, you've got something to keep you company on the way. There was about a 5-hour drive involved in my trip. And guess what made a debut in that borrowed vehicle that we spent time in?
Were you listening to
Our
the movie
beautiful
calendar?
voices.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness!
Yeah, it was good. It was family in the car, so look, the conversation kind of got railroaded. Like our conversation got railroaded by the conversation in the car, but that's okay. At least they gave it a go, and they were all like, "Yeah, let's put it on." Cool. It was good. Like a good half hour of like no interruptions, and your family can be your harshest critics and be really brutally honest with you about everything.
Very much so.
But things just happening. But it was good.
I literally got a message from my brother, my older brother, the other day, and he said that one of his friends, who's never met me, was watching one of the episodes and was like, "It's so weird because he looks like you, and he sounds like you, but he's
that's
not.
cool.
But he's not talking about athletics." So
Does he know you? Hang on, did you say he knows you?
No. This friend of
Cool.
of my older brother was just, stumbled upon the podcast somehow. I have no idea. I'm not sure if Brett said anything or not. But yeah,
It's
just
working.
one of those things. And which if you ever met my older brother, he does look and sound exactly like me, only a little bit older and far less handsome.
I mean, I believe that.
That's right. He knows.
It's an ailment he's grown up with all of his life, all of your life.
But no, if it is your first time here, welcome. It's so nice to have you. This is a sci-fi film that has reached cult status in such a short amount of time being around. So if you're here because you love the film, we're going to start talking about it very soon. There are time codes in the description below. If you'd like to jump straight into the film discussion, we're going to be breaking up this week's episode into the characters. So we'll be talking about Caleb, Nathan, and Ava, then moving into the writing and then into the directing before we go to our regular scheduled programming of our hashtag #WhatAboutWhens, and then adding the film to the movie calendar at the end.
Yep. I didn't think of any dates for this on the movie calendar, so I hope you've got a good one.
I've got a one.
it'll be a good one. It'll be a good one. I've got a couple of what about whens, and we've had someone on Instagram as well share a what about when. So we'll read that out as it gets to it. Did you mention when this came out?
This was 2015. This film.
2000. I thought it was 14.
No,
Okay,
2015. Yeah, I think there was. It premiered maybe at a film festival in December of 2014, but its official release date is 2015.
Okay, I hope it won that film festival.
It probably did. It is a cracking film, this one. If you haven't seen the movie, please check it out before you continue on, because we will be talking about this in full spoilers ahead.
Spoilers.
Yes, absolutely. The spoiler warning has been given. With that being said, we've got Ex Machina, directed by Alex Garland and written by Alex Garland as well, starring Alicia Vikander, Donald Gleason, and Oscar Isaac. And this is a film about Caleb, who is a young programmer for the largest tech company in the world. He is chosen for a groundbreaking study to test a highly advanced humanoid AI to see if it possesses true intelligence. And if that sounds interesting to you, go and check it out. Come on back and we'll have a good old discussion about it.
Yes. It's a good setup for it as well. I actually thought that this was... I thought the opening sequence, the way they quickly built the story, I thought that was actually still part of the titles, and we were just going to get a little bit of backstory to the character. He's worked in this. He's won a couple of things. He's lucky. Maybe this is a story of how he gets to be a trinket builder and leads him to develop AI. I didn't know who the roles were. I didn't even know this guy was in it. So it was all a really nice surprise for me to watch this film. But to be kind of dropped straight into it, I thought was a really good touch. It had me from hello, and then took me on a cool helicopter ride.
Yeah, it
was
jumps
so cool.
It jumps in so quick, and we'll talk about that in the writing. But if it's okay with you, Terence, we'll go straight into the characters. And would you like to start with Caleb himself?
All right. Yep. Let's do it. I have a feeling you're going to do a better job of talking about him than me, because I've only got him in my head from the last few hours.
Of course.
I'll
see if I can
bounce.
trigger some things for you to discuss too. So Caleb is who we think is our protagonist for us to follow in the film. So he is our eyes into this world. So everything that he learns at the time that he learns it is when we learn in the film. So yeah, we get to see it play out through his lens. All of the characters in this film are named after some sort of biblical reference. So Caleb is the spy that was sent by Moses to evaluate the Promised Land, which is very befitting for this film, as Caleb has been sent to this manor out in the middle of nowhere to test Ava, who is essentially the Promised Land for the next iteration of potentially human existence.
Humanity.
Yeah.
Humanity, pardon the pun.
Yeah.
As it were.
Yeah, so he's a really interesting character. He's got a little bit of a backstory, so we learn a little bit about him through some of the sessions that he has with Ava, about how he was in a car accident as a child, and his parents were killed, and it's when he got into programming because he was in the hospital for a long time. And yeah, so he's a programmer for the largest tech company that exists in this fictional world, called Blue Book, which is, let's face it, it's essentially Google, right? I guess they couldn't legally use the name, but it's Google.
No. Yeah. We got to be careful here. Although, I mean, on YouTube, I'm sure there are videos about Ex Machina, so, there are parallels.
Alex Garland did an interview at the Google headquarters and said it, so it's yeah.
Good, we can say it.
It's fine. Everybody is aware.
Everyone's yeah. Yeah, it's scary.
But no, he's kind of a sweet, kind soul of a person, which has obviously been part of the story itself. He's been selected to do this. It wasn't a by chance win that he got to go to this manor. But yeah, do you have any thoughts on Caleb's character?
Oh, I think he's so. At the beginning, he seems quite unassuming, but you realise being at this big tech company and the way he asks the questions, And the way he understands the Turing test immediately, you know, oh, okay, this guy like knows stuff. This guy must be an engineer of sorts, and just goes straight into this phase of questioning. So he immediately jumped multiple levels of who I thought he was at the beginning into this specialist in what he does. But I did think he was extremely, well, not but, I also think he's an extremely nice person. You know, when he answers one of Ava's questions where she says, are you a good person? And he says, I think I am. You know, she was picking up every little micro expression to catch him out, and she didn't seem to catch him out. And I thought, well, he's truthful to himself. You know, he does want to do good in the world, and he seems to be that. He's from a very unfortunate background. He's living a single life. He wants to do good in the world, and he's given this really cool opportunity to be with the coolest guy on the planet that we can assume, and it's a cool treat.
Yeah,
I wanted to be him, you know.
Yeah, he kind of starts off as this, you know, because he idolizes Nathan.
Yeah.
Before he gets there, and he's this, you know, wide-eyed kind of puppy when he gets there, as well as being, you know, what he thinks is the best coder in the company, and but yeah, that his arc is when he kind of finds out that he didn't win, he was selected, and not only that, but he was the one that the tests were being performed on, rather than Ava herself. He's unraveling, and revenge to get back was really nicely handled. It was written quite well, and you need a performer in all of these roles. Like, you need actors of such high caliber. Alex Garland talks about it quite a lot in the interviews that I saw about how they didn't want to get a star for these movies. They needed proper actors, like people who can really get in skin deep. Again, no pun intended with Ava. Really get skin deep into their characters and live and breathe them, because it's such a small hand of this one. You know, only three characters in essentially the entire film. 3 characters that speak, at least, named characters. You need to have actors of a certain caliber to pull it off, and my gosh, they got the top of the cream for this one. Starting with Dom.
It was it was uncanny because, well, uncanny. The only person I'd seen Dom Hall.
It's Don. It's Dom. So that the M is silent. So it's Donal.
Donal.
Yeah.
I think I've met a Donal before. Okay. So we call him Don?
It's like Donald without the D.
Yeah, okay.
At the end. The D at the end, it's not Arnold. Arnold Gleason.
Donal in an episode of Black Mirror.
Yes.
That's the only time I'd ever seen him anywhere before. So, and you know, we all have this. We see an actor and we associate them with their previous roles. And of course, the only thing I knew him in was something that's actually really crazily similar.
Yeah, he's essentially
in the weirdness of this.
Playing Ava in the Black Mirror episode that he's in.
Yeah,
it
was just great. It was great to see him on the other side of it, and I'm like, oh, good, you got to play a human this time. Okay, a living human, one that's still alive. Yeah, it was really good to see the struggle that he had to portray as well towards the end, especially where he's questioning his own existence, you know, and he starts trying to peel his skin.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Really interesting tricks that the director
really troubling.
Uses. With showing the scars on his back and putting doubts in the mind of the audience as to, is this guy all human, or what's happening here?
Yeah, because just for those few minutes when this scene plays out, my mind as an audience member was thinking, wait a minute. So that means the whole time he's been working for this guy, I'm thinking, oh, they're among us. What? That was really cool. I liked that I was taken on that little journey as well. And that was the thing about this film. There were quite a few little flips. They all happened, you know, they kind of spaced nicely. I think we were given some really good insights when we talk about Nathan into his character and how he was doing this to play around with his mind. But I liked how that happened in this film. But I think poor Caleb, was just taken for a ride and totally taken advantage of, and
by everybody.
By everyone. And
yeah.
I'd like to think that he would have been sent home. I mean, the chopper came, right? So the plan was to send him back, I guess.
Yeah.
So, you just feel so sorry for him.
Yeah. But
if I ever get invited out to the head of a tech company, to his estate or her estate, I think I'd be maybe a little bit cautious about it. Sign that old NDA. I like how he says, I think I need a lawyer.
Yeah. But what? It's just standard. It doesn't look very standard. Okay, it's not standard. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. Yeah, I love his arc as well, how he starts to kind of see Nathan in a different light through his sessions with Ava. Like during the power outage they have, the first one where they're in the session, and she's like, you can't trust Nathan, and it's just adding these little complex layers, and you see them kind of bury themselves inside him. Little does he know that he's just being manipulated by this AI. It's just it's marvelous. And then when he like the look of horror on his face at the end when he realizes that she is leaving the house and locking him inside is just horrific.
I think that scene kind of confirmed the weight of how good this film was for me. It was actually really satisfying that this film did that. And I like more and more when the films don't end with a happy ending or don't end the way you'd expect it to be. That did so much good for this film.
Yeah,
all the way up. They could have damaged it by having some stupid we're just going to make it happily ever after, or there's some big explosive and no one ever knows anything now. I love that. I love it.
This was one of the first films that I remember watching and being really conflicted about how it ended, because I was like, I don't think I like it. I don't like that happened. I probably just didn't fully understand it. And then watching it,
I didn't like that it happened.
Yeah, like watching it again. I watched it again. I watched it years ago, and then I watched it pretty soon after I saw it for that first time. I was like, oh, okay, no, I get it. Like, there was no other way that this could have ended. Like, it's treating its audience with such a respect. This film doesn't think that they're idiots, and doesn't belittle them in any way. And so to have an ending like this just kind of exemplifies how good this storytelling is. But we'll talk about the writing in a minute.
Yep. All right.
Did you want to jump to Nathan?
Well, let's. Yeah. All right. Yeah, let's go to Nathan, because we'll keep talking about them all the way through. Anyway.
We will. Yep. So Nathan. Sticking with the biblical references. So Nathan was a prophet in the court of David. To stick with that theme. So he's kind of the prophet of this story. Writing Ava essentially and creating her. He's just for me. I was just literally talking to Terrence before we hit the record button. For me, Nathan is really a character of duality. The entire film is just rife with duality metaphors, and they are completely personified by Nathan himself. So he's an alcoholic gym junkie. He is like a dude bro tech nerd, and he's also trying to be a friend, but also incredibly manipulative towards Caleb. It's just this. Yeah, he is duality incarnate for me. I didn't pick up on it until this week after rewatching it numerous times. But I'm super interested by Oscar Isaac's performance. He is just like on a different. He's on a different level of actor, Oscar Isaac, and like it was just a matter of time before he blew up. He was already well known in the film world, not the star that he was after this particular year, because this year he was in Star Wars as his big breakout. I'd seen him before in some other films like Drive. I think was the first time I saw him with Ryan Gosling. But
is he in that?
Yeah. He plays the ex-boyfriend who's in prison. Yeah,
I love Drive.
it's so good,
Oh,
right?
cool.
Yeah. So
I saw him in another film with Ben Affleck. It was a Netflix release. I can't remember what it was.
I don't
maybe
know.
through this episode I'll find it. But I saw him in that only last year, and I was really, really impressed by his work there.
He's
and he
amazing.
definitely brought it here.
Yeah.
So I think I use the word a lot with actors that I'm impressed with when they bring an intensity to the screen, and he did exactly that in every scene he's in, especially when in the first power outage and Caleb goes wandering and picks up the phone in the room where the Pollock painting is, and he's like, oh, I wouldn't do that. Or what does he say? You're not allowed to make a call.
You don't have access to the phones.
You don't have access to the phones. And he's just laying there drunk. It was like he set a trap for him.
Lurking in the shadows.
Scene. He just didn't move. He just stayed in that position and just brought it. And just brought this fear, or he instilled fear into Caleb, and he was just so, I don't know. What word would you say? I don't know.
I don't know.
So threatening.
Yeah,
he was so threatening.
He's got this kind of calm about him.
Yeah,
that's just menacing. But he's also he's
menacing.
He's hilarious in the film as well. Like, he's got the funniest moments out of the three characters. I love when actually we haven't decided what quote we're going to put at the beginning. We spoke about a couple, but if we end up using the one that I think we're going to use, like in that scene where essentially, if it's not put there, it's the scene where Caleb says that it's no longer the history of man, it's the history of gods. And
close to the beginning when he describes.
And he throws that line back at him later. He's like, I was thinking about what you said to me the other day, how you said I was a god, and it's like I didn't say that. And he's like, no, I wrote it down. You said, I'm no longer a man, I'm a god. It's like, no,
I didn't say that.
Really playing into his ego.
Say that either.
Yeah, so he's got a massive ego, Nathan, but it's also kind of earned as well. Like, he's super smart and has kind of built this from essentially nothing. It's terrifying. I have a theory about Nathan, which I'd like to throw out at you. And I was thinking about it this week when I was doing research for the pod, and it got me thinking, because he is also part of this ruse where he's trying to manipulate Caleb in a way for him to fall for Ava. And so he kind of acts like a villain to Ava to try and help Caleb to empathize with her. So that kind of dude bro personality that he has, and that arrogant, bravado that he's got, is that actually him, or is that enhanced just for Caleb? I'm sure that there's an element of it where he is actually that, but I kind of think, and this is again a testament to the performance of Oscar Isaac, I kind of think that there's an element of he's putting it on to try and make Caleb not like him so that he likes Ava more.
Oh, maybe. I mean, look, I don't know if there's any way to tell, because you don't see him interact with anyone else.
No.
And that is the only way he interacts with Caleb.
I think the response that you're looking for, Terrence, is, friendly. Oh, wow, yeah, that sounds exactly right, Lee.
Well, look, I don't think... You could be right.
I have no idea.
Right. You could be right, and it's good to be able to think about the depth of characters like that. I don't know if there's any evidence that he would that actually makes you right. Sorry,
I think there is, and I do have examples. It's not just off the this is just my cockamamie theory. There's the moment where they go into his lab and he's showing the brain. He almost turns into a different person, and because he's in his lab, which is probably where he feels the most at home. It's the most natural place for him to be because he spends so much time in there. And he's kind of discussing how he's built the brain of Ava and the fluidity and the liquid of it. And he does. He kind of turns into this more warming person, and I'm wondering if that's more who he actually is.
Look, it could be. It could be.
But I don't know.
And like, I don't discount it at all, because he's definitely manipulating Caleb.
Yes. He's still a horrible person.
Wants, right? Yeah, but I think to do that, he hams it up a bit, and did that to also break the ice a little bit and make it a bit easier for Caleb to realize, this dude is pretty chill.
Yeah.
How was the
party?
Part of that. How was the party? Yeah, far out, just totally deadpan in reaction. I mean, there's a reason that he's out there, and it's not just for secrecy. People that will isolate themselves from society, I guess, sometimes feel that they may not be able to interact as society wants them to perform. So, you know what? I can afford to be out here where the glaciers meet the forest.
That's true.
So, sure, every part of his personality that we see when he interacts with another human, or even with any of his AI, could be totally falsified and just a mask for any awkwardness that he has. And you know what? This could very well be something that has driven him to create AI, because his interactions with society have been maimed by his inability to do so the way that the rest of society wants him to.
Yeah, that's a good point, Terence. I think you're right. Just see how that works.
I don't know what you're trying to say, Lee.
It's okay.
I don't know what you're trying to say. It's all right. We got one more character. Let's see if you get this one.
Yeah,
right.
Ava. Incredible. Alicia Vikander as Ava. There's a reason why I wanted to save her for last, because she is just so complex and so well realized, and the best performance in a movie that is full of incredible performances. In my humble opinion, anyway. It's Oscar nominated. Not Oscar nominated. Oscar winner Alicia Vikander won for a different film that came out this exact same year called The Danish Girl. And not even nominated for an Academy Award for Ex Machina, and everyone was like, "What is happening?"
Wow.
So when she won the Oscar for The Danish Girl, everyone was kind of like, "Yeah, that's for Ex Machina, but don't tell anybody."
Really?
Yeah,
you reckon?
Oh, absolutely. That was at least in the film world at the time, when everyone was talking about it. When the nominations came out for that year, everyone was like, "Where on earth is Alicia Vikander for Ex Machina?" People were not happy, but then when she won, everyone was like, "This'll do."
I didn't see. The Danish Girl is actually a film that I've only seen about the first 20 minutes. It's on a streaming platform here, and I was interrupted and I had to leave. I really wanted to stick it through and watch the whole thing. I think I watched first 20 minutes, and she plays the lead female role, right? At the beginning.
Well, not according to the Academy. She was nominated for supporting, which was another controversy at the time. Because
she did pretty well with what I saw there.
Yeah, she's amazing. Okay. She's just amazing.
All right.
But this is not a discussion about The Danish Girl. It is a discussion about Ex Machina. And yeah, did you want to take the lead on Ava real quick?
You know what? With everything that Ava is and represents, one thing that really got me was, when I say got me, and this is probably more to the acting, I liked that there was this tiny little smile partway through, and she references micro expressions, and at the beginning I was realizing the smiles that she's giving are almost flirtatious, and now we realize why. She really was going down that route to take advantage of Caleb, but the way and to the acting of Alicia, I had to look. What was her name again? Alicia. Her mouth would kind of go into a tiny, tiny smile and then go out of a tiny, tiny smile. So robotic, which is why it was such an incredible performance. But just to move with such subtlety with her expression was just amazing. And putting it together with how you hear about how he's downloaded all of the facial recognition from every phone in the universe.
Terrifying.
You can only imagine how much data there is and how smooth these movements actually probably are. But to realize a real person performed all this so calm. It actually reminded me of when we talked about The Departed, and Leo's character is sitting in a psychologist chair, and he talks about how his hand never moves.
I remember.
And I was thinking, yeah, right, no one can not move their hand like that. You'd have to be a pretty good actor to not move your hand. So I was thinking about that as well, just the people who really, really know how to work their craft, and she's definitely one of those.
Yeah, has a complete mastery over her body, which comes from a dancing background. She is a professional ballerina.
Wow. Okay.
Before she moved into acting, and you really need that. I've literally got one of the notes I've got written down for Ava, of which I haven't given the biblical reference for her name, but this one's a pretty easy one to get. It's just a play on Eve, or the first woman.
Okay.
2 vowels with a V in between. Is that one? Not ovo. It's
2
Eva.
vowels with a V in between.
Don't you love my explanations? I'm so
Of course.
so good.
All I'm doing now is putting every vowel either side of a V.
So yeah,
that's going to be me.
Uvu, played by Alicia Vikander.
I'm not going to say them.
I've literally got written down fluidity of movement. Just the 3 words for her, and just she's so deliberate in her movements, and the subtleties of which she moves. I was watching an interview with her this week, and she was saying that she wanted to make Ava. Have you ever heard of the term uncanny valley?
Yes.
Yeah, so
I've heard those words together, but I don't really know when they're utilized.
Uncanny valley is where something is not human, but supposed to be.
Okay.
And gets close enough to it that it looks awful. So like if you're
like CGI human faces.
Like it's almost there,
Yeah.
but because it's just missing that last 0.5%, it looks so wrong. And so she wanted to bring a level of uncanny valley to her movement by making everything that she did perfect. So every single movement that she makes is done the most perfect robotic way that it could possibly be. And so
she's a trained ballerina.
Exactly, like you.
Wow,
you
okay.
really see it, and it's such a wise decision, like acting decision, because it does that, and you don't even really notice it.
And a great casting decision too.
Yeah,
like I'm sure that I mean, in the audition, I'm guessing they would have said, walk like a robot, or something.
No, well,
turn your head, look at that piece of paper.
It was
Robotic
Alex
like.
Garland had seen a film. From her home country. I don't know what nationality she is off the top of my head. I forgot.
I actually think she's Swedish.
Swedish. A Swedish film where she stars opposite Mads Mikkelsen. And Mads Mikkelsen is a huge actor and massively charismatic. But in the particular film that Alex Garland saw, all he saw was Alicia Vikander standing out on screen, being opposite Mads Mikkelsen, which is not an easy thing to do. I'm not saying that Mads Mikkelsen's performance was bad. It's more of a testament to how good Alicia Vikander was in this particular film. I don't have the film off the top of my head. I don't know why.
I've no idea who that actor is either.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
But I have found out that she's Swedish.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen, you will know. Trust me. After we're finished with all 365 episodes of the movie Cal, I promise.
Is it Mads?
Mads.
Or Madge?
Mads.
M-A-D-S?
Yeah.
I'll do a quick search.
Have you seen Casino Royale, the James Bond film? Daniel Craig's first? Oh, okay. That doesn't help.
Here we go. Oh, I spelled it wrong.
This makes for great content. Everybody loves this.
Travis. There's Travis Nicholson. Thomas Nicholson. Mickelson with an M.
Yeah.
Okay. Mads. I can't. My interwebbing skills aren't amazing.
No, that's okay.
Fine. Maybe Jack Nicholson? Was it him?
Okay, all right.
Is
We're moving on. A huge help to Ava's character is actually done by no one that was in the room at the time, and it's the visual effects team behind her. It was the visual effects were done by a company called Double Negative, who you would have seen their work in numerous films. Just Google Double Negative and you'll be able to see all of the amazing work that they've done. They won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects for this film on only a $15 million budget, which is just like, this film was up against, if you're watching on YouTube, We've got the book behind me here. Mad Max Fury Road came out that same year, as well as we spoke about Oscar Isaac in Star Wars. Episode 7, The Force Awakens, came out that same year as well, which was almost a shoo-in to get it. And then, surprise upset from Ex Machina coming in to sweep it, which was, I think well-deserved. And I think there was a little bit of people voted for it because they understood that the performance of the visual effects was to such a high standard, as much as these other movies had incredible visual effects that were almost so seamless that they weren't noticeable, which is kind of its job. There was a performance element to it with this film, which kind of helped elevate it a little bit. I think it was well-deserved.
It was so impressive, that the transparency of Ava's body, it was just crazy.
Yep.
Such detail in the I guess the skeletal structure, like the wiring. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
It's just it was really cool. I also liked in some of the scenes where you would you saw Caleb watching her. There was a scene where she reaches across to a chair or something, and her arm just extends a little bit longer than what you would expect for a human arm to be. And it was little things like that made me remember, oh my god, okay, she's not a biological she. This is an AI. It was, I don't know, there were so many things about this that looked, if I were to rate this technically, if I knew an ounce of what I was talking about, I would say this is like 10 out of 10, because I would rate it out of 10. Just unbelievable. I'm actually looking them up now. Tenet. They did the effects in Tenet.
Yep.
Which I have not seen yet.
Oh, I did. I saw it. I saw it.
Westworld. They've done a lot of cool stuff. There's is that Captain America? No. Did they do stuff for... No, never mind. I'll stop steering us wrong. But the effects are cool. What about the locations?
Yeah.
Locations are cool.
The locations are amazing.
I want that house.
But,
I like to think that house was a real house.
It was. It's actually...
Probably was.
You can actually stay there. It's a hotel.
No way.
Yeah.
Do you know which country?
I want to say Norway.
Okay.
I think.
Let's put it on the list.
Yeah, I think it's Norway. I could be wrong. If it's wrong, it's going to appear up on the screen here with an asterisk on it with the real date. Thank you in advance.
Oh, really?
Terrence. Yep.
Really?
I'll give you the time code
great.
later.
All right. Well, okay, Ava. Oh, you know what I found interesting was there's a bit of talk with art here, and there's a reference to a Pollock painting, or Pollock as an artist.
Yep.
But Ava does drawings as well. And in the beginning, she presents a drawing which looks like a really intense geometric kind of
abstract
spirographic kind of thing, which looks very symmetrical and detailed. And then later on, after the discussions of, I want you to draw something, what do you want to draw? No, you choose. She comes the next day and has created this drawing, which is all pointillism, which I thought was interesting. So not only has a subject been chosen, but the style is totally different as well. And I didn't research anything, but I was wondering what that may have to do with anything. That art has been described a couple of times and portrayed a couple of times, so that might have something to bear relevance to the film as well. I don't know.
I'm
the
sure
portrait
it does.
She does of him as pointillism as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm not sure what exactly. I'm not smart enough to know that one off the top of my head. But yeah, I'm sure it has some significance in the film.
Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. That was a little insight into one of the abilities that Ava has, apart from extremely high levels of perceived intellect.
Yep.
I say perceived. Would it be right to say perceived intellect?
I would say
you could say
she
intellect.
Genuinely has intellect. Yeah, like she's essentially the test. If you haven't seen the film and you're completely lost
for, right?
with what we're talking about, like Caleb thinks that he's there to perform the Turing test, to see if Ava has true intelligence. But it's not the test at all. Essentially, he has been sent to this compound to see if Ava is smart enough to manipulate Caleb into helping her escape, which would that then in itself would demonstrate true intelligence, because it would require sexuality, manipulation, empathy, all of these things.
He lists them all.
Yes, yeah, they're all listed in the film, which she does. She does every single one of them. So the way that she's able to do it, programming aside, because that's not her main function, I would say, yeah, she definitely demonstrates true intelligence. So she literally passes the test with her actions and her manipulations.
Yeah. I wonder if his goal would have changed along the way, because when you see all the archival footage when Caleb breaks into his office, and you see the footage of the cameras looking at the previous AIs kind of arguing with him and bashing at the door, he realizes all they actually want to do is get out. I wonder how many tests he's done like this. How many Calebs have there been before? He's got an he's got an NDA written up. Does he have a drawer of NDAs, and he invites someone around every week? You just never hear about it.
I think this was the first. I think this was the first time that someone had been sent out on to do the test. This was the first.
Maybe that test.
Yeah, the first Ava, or the first AI that he created was worthy of being tested for it. He knew certainly that she passed the Turing test at least. That all of them probably did, but it was just a matter of seeing if she had the cognitive ability to be able to manipulate someone who wasn't him to allow an escape to happen.
Well, it's really interesting, because as cocky as this guy is, he may have thought that Ava had the ability to manipulate Caleb. However, he didn't put anything in place to protect himself if she did. He knew that the one thing that his AIs wanted to do was to escape. So surely you'd put something in place that, just in case they do, I'm going to somehow weaponize myself against an attack, or I'm going to put some failsafe in there. That's a little bit of a... I don't want to say it's a hard to believe thing.
Yeah.
But, it kind of is, actually.
I think it's the ego. I think it's the ego is steps in and is like, there's no way.
Okay.
Like, there's no way that they'd actually be able to do it. Like, they'll get to the point where they can, and he set up the secret camera in there, the battery operated one that he could access. Like, he thought he was always at least a step ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. It's always the ego that brings him down, isn't it?
Destroyed by his own hubris.
Yes,
which happens in a lot of the films that we've talked about on the movie calendar so far. It must be something that we like.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Look, we could talk a lot about Ava. I mean, Ava is an intelligent program. What other parts do you want to talk about with her? Because I just like the development of how she exposes her abilities throughout this film. When she goes and gets dressed, just the knowledge that she has that this is exactly what I have to do.
Yeah,
I want to show you something.
The way that she looks at the cameras
when he looks at them,
when he's watching. It's all very good. I love the way that they explain how she was created and how her mind works, where it's essentially, because Blue Book, the company, is a search engine, right? And Nathan is talking about how the search engines are kind of like striking oil in a world where you don't have combustion engines.
Yeah.
You have all of this resource, but you have no idea what to do with it. So he was able to use it to create this brain that made Ava.
Well, he said everyone thinks this is about who we are, but it's not. It's about what we do. All the information is...
Yeah, he says the line is, everybody thought that search engines were... what was it? I can't think of it. It's the answer is it's how we think, or why we think, or
how we...
think. Yeah, that's right. It's everybody thought search engines were like a copy of what we think, but it wasn't. It's actually how we think. as a
Right,
species.
yeah.
So he had to just learn how to tap into that, and then was able to create it. Which, like, Alex Garland has talked about how this movie is set kind of 10 minutes in the future.
Scary.
Which is such a good way of putting it, because we are probably as a species on the cusp of creating, not in the human looking form, that we don't have the robotics technology for it yet, but like a brain,
We think.
like this. Look, we think there could very well be behind closed doors something akin to this, and we'd have no idea.
Even the brain that he picked up and describing this gel-like structure where the molecules will remain static for memories, but they'll move for thought.
Yeah.
Just it was really, really, really insightful. Really nice way to break down these things. And I like also Caleb's reaction with that line you mentioned before. I like how he just looks in disbelief. He's like, wait, you did that to every phone?
Yeah.
On the planet? He goes, oh yeah, but all the carriers were in on it as well. They knew I was doing it.
Yeah.
They were doing it too. Oh, that's a really scary moment.
It's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
It really is.
Yeah.
I think I want to put my phone face down more often, at least. That might be the least I can do.
What have you got going in your life that's worth taking, Terrence?
I don't know, but it's never about that.
Yeah,
It's
no,
not
I understand.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
No, I get it.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, Ava is such an awesome character. And
Evil incarnate.
brilliant performance. And the way that she just turns on the end, like on Caleb at the end, that you're not expecting, when it comes up with Ava session 7, and then she's out of the room and just wait here and gets dressed, and off she goes, and see you later.
And communicating with Kyoko.
Yes.
That was actually another frightening scene. I heard a story of a big tech company making some AI that actually started communicating with each other.
Yeah.
And that was when they pulled the plug. And they went, oh, yep, that's a bad thing. Nope.
I saw that
Stop
as well.
that
I'm not
happening.
sure how true that was, but I saw that exact same thing. I kind of hope
It
it's
got me
true
thinking.
and don't hope it's true at the same time.
I thought of that when I saw Ava talking to Kyoko, or communicating with Kyoko.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad.
Yeah. Who knows what she was saying?
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
I know what she was saying. You stab him in the back, and I'll stab him in the front.
Yeah, just planning ahead.
Have you got a knife? Is that a knife you're carrying? Cool. You use it first. Then when he turns around, I'll grab it and I'll do it. All right? Deal.
Sold.
That's exactly what they said.
I mean, and I bet, Kyoko was probably well into that idea.
How weird, she's walking with the knife already.
Yeah.
I mean, they all know.
It's so
They know.
terrifying.
Have they been communicating already? Kyoko kind of had a few looks of consciousness when they were talking behind her. You remember that? I remember her kind of listening in, and I was thinking, oh, this is not good. This is not good. I can't remember the exact scene. If I remember it, I'll let you know. But she's definitely listening.
I think that was the first time that Ava had seen or was aware of Kyoko's existence. It was in that hallway. Because she kind of looks at her in disbelief, like, who are you? She might even say the line, who are you? I don't know. She
possibly.
definitely says it on her face.
Mm. Well, look, I'm happy moving on.
Sweet.
To writing or directing?
Writing. Let's
What do you
jump
want
into
to
the
go from
writing. I think that this script is just so sharp, and on the cutting edge. To quote Nathan, it's almost hauntingly too real. Like this, very much, although based in science fiction, and there's a couple of conceits that you have to have, going into it. The premise of it is just so real, that it could happen at literally any moment, which is just the best kind of science fiction, is the plausible, grounded ones, make for even better thrillers.
Yeah, because that element of reality is just what people want. That you want to be able to absorb yourself into this world.
Yeah,
it's very good, and the the script as well. You know, I didn't come across too much at all, if anything, that was unnecessary banter. There wasn't, well, definitely no banter, but there wasn't any of this setup. It wasn't very didactic at all. They didn't have to tell their story before they then walked into the room, and now you know because they just told you why the room is set up the way it is.
Yeah, they don't.
You know,
they
didn't
said
do
just
that.
before, they don't treat their audience with disrespect. They don't belittle them at all. They allow
right.
they allow the story to unfold in a way where you just get presented with the information when they are ready to tell it to you. You know, you don't
Yeah.
need to be ahead of the game. You can figure things out if you maybe look hard enough. But yeah, the movie is always one step ahead of you in a way that's not infuriating and makes sense. It's not afraid to take its time, but not in a way that is like you're looking at your watch. There's always something happening, and there's always something to look forward to. Questions are constantly being asked by Caleb and by us as the audience, and we only get answers to them when it's ready to tell us.
And the way they layer these turns, these, what do you call them? Turning points and twists. That's it. Twists in the plot. You know, with how the first time they're kind of getting drunk together outside, sitting under that shelter, and you realize looking back on the film that scene was actually premeditated by Caleb. And you know, you understand towards the end of the film, actually only after I watched it, that there was so much that Caleb had premeditated to stay one step ahead of Nathan, while still enabling Nathan to feel he had the upper hand. So Caleb would drop these lines that he thinks he's so smart with the guy that invented the atomic bomb, or
Oppenheimer.
after they dropped Oppenheimer, and he drops this Oppenheimer quote, pretending to be all smart and totally setting the trap for Nathan to go one up on him and going, I know that's Oppenheimer, dude.
Yeah.
And knowing that Caleb actually is the one who planted that to make Nathan have this sense of still having the upper hand. No way would he think Caleb would have already done this stuff that he did, you know. That was good. I like it when they make you think back and it's actually realistic in the way that they've written it.
Yeah.
Very smart.
I really like those scenes outside the house where you're just surrounded by this most beautiful, picturesque, powerful, natural environment. I spoke a little bit before about Nathan and his duality, and mentioned that it was kind of everywhere in this film, and it really is. The location that it's set is really an example of that, where, you know, the building itself is this, you know, powerful, man-made, controlled environment that Nathan has complete control over, but then everything that surrounds it for miles and miles is just untamed, natural, uncontrollable environment. Wilderness, natural environment. It's the complete opposite of what's happening inside the building, and like that's not an accident that it's like that. It's very, very purposeful. I for one appreciated it, and it's one of those attention to detail moments that I love so much, and as a reason that I think this film is just is incredible.
It's just a beautiful aesthetic as well. It was a really nice way for them to intercut between these scientific tests and this sterile environment and this caged-in claustrophobic world, just to be able to breathe. And you can just, while they're standing on the side of that glacier, you just know that air has a smell of fresh and open and crisp. You know, it was quite relieving when I was watching this. I actually felt myself inhaling quite deeply and relaxingly when they were outside. I was just, it's a nice,
beautiful area. It's a really nice contrast to being in the bunker, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is, right? Out in the wilderness and in the bunker, it was a jail.
Yeah.
It was a jail for all the AI he made.
Absolutely,
and
a prison.
ended up ultimately being a prison for Caleb. Ironically, because he was helping the AI escape.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
tragic.
No, I love how well this film, in its writing, sets up sets up the characters so quickly, but yet not revealing everything. But you get established with them in such an efficient manner. Like we open with Caleb sitting in his work desk, no dialogue, and all it comes up with is, first prize or whatever it says, and then we're just immediately
you've won.
like cut straight to he's in a helicopter and just flying out in the middle of nowhere. And then it's like, when do we get there? It's like, we've been flying over his estate for 2 hours. Like, so we
That was so
instantly
cool.
we instantly learn that we're going to meet someone mysterious who Caleb thinks highly of, who is isolated, remote. And then we see then we see Nathan for the first time, and he's in the punching bag, and he's got a massive hangover, and we're like, okay, this is an interesting character. Like, we learn so much, and then like Ava's introduction as well. The fact that they don't hide her at all, like they instantly just show her she is a machine, or on the outside at least, she is just a machine. There's no secrecy there, and I like that when sort of as she develops as a character, she kind of puts on more human clothing and covers herself up as she's trying to manipulate Caleb into falling for her.
Yeah.
It's
Do
really
you
nice.
think that they wanted the character of Kyoko to surprise the audience by being AI herself? Or was it meant to have been known?
I don't know, because
it wasn't very surprising.
Yeah, no, I
And
don't.
It was
I
kind
don't
of.
think.
I
don't
when
think
she
I was
walked in-
surprised when I first saw it, but it was a while ago, so
Yeah.
I don't quite remember. It's
Yeah.
fairly obvious that she is.
Yeah.
But then,
I think it was done on purpose to let the audience think
it's
and
misdirection,
have a playful,
right? Yeah.
a playful thought that that must be one of the robots.
Like there's a
So I
moment
think-
there's a moment in the film
was
where
done
you
on
see
purpose.
there's a moment in the film where you see Caleb's back for the first time, and he's got the scars down his back, and you don't have any context for that yet. You don't realize that he's been in an accident, but your brain is kind of like, oh, is he a robot? Like, what's going on here? And it's those deliberately playful tropes within usual sci-fi writing that I love, that Alex Garland, being such a seasoned writer, is able to bring in. Like, and it's that not treating your audience like an idiot thing where, people have seen sci-fi films before, so they understand the tropes, and they've seen horror and thrillers before, so they know that there must be some sort of a twist coming. So I'll plant these little seeds so you think it's going to go this way, but then the misdirection of it all is like, no, absolutely not. We're going somewhere that you didn't even think was possible.
There was one trope that I kind of I just went ugh when it happened, and it was actually when you first meet Nathan. He walks in, he's been dropped off, there's a helicopter. It's not like you don't know there's a helicopter coming. Walk through the forest and down the stream and into this mysterious building. Okay, fair enough. Cool key card, instant photo. That was funny, actually. That was quite funny how he's peering into the camera
picture.
and that's the photo you get. I thought that was pretty cool. He walks in, the door slowly closes behind him. I thought, okay, but you know what? The door probably would automatically close anyway, so it was all right. But for him to walk down and you hear the punching bag, and I thought, I bet you he's just on the punching bag. Oh, hi. I'm just in the middle of a workout, I mean, you realize that this guy is he's got this arrogance about him anyway, and he probably would have been doing that. But this is like the biggest thing that's ever happened in his career of invention, to actually get someone of the real world in and run this type of test. Wouldn't you be like,
He doesn't know that
sitting there?
He doesn't know that Caleb's
say,
going to say
"Hey."
yes to that yet.
Yeah, no, but wouldn't you be like, greet him? Be at the chopper? Hi, I've been waiting for you. Hi, my name's Nathan. Come into my house.
I think, like, logically, I understand what
I
you're
hated
saying.
that.
I do.
Yeah.
But not a good film does that make, where people act like actual people, because it just people
no.
don't want to
Look,
watch
it
that.
worked for the
Hi,
film.
it's nice to meet you. My name is Nathan. It must be weird for you to see your boss, right? The CEO of this big company. Whoa, look out, I'm here.
Let's just be friends.
Sorry, what I should have said was, yeah, Terrence, that's a really good point. I think you're right.
All right, touche.
Yeah, no, I think it's
That was
I think
the
it's just far more interesting. And he's a He's a
Yeah,
bit of
it was a cool
he's an
intro.
eccentric billionaire, right? So
Yeah,
he's just a
fine.
weird guy.
Billionaire. They've been flying
he-
over his property for the last 2 hours.
He'd
That
be
was an
trillionaire
incredible
probably.
introduction to the amount of wealth that this guy has amassed. That's the other thing that you get from this. So you know that there's nothing out of bounds. Nothing. Everything that he wants is going to be here, and you won't question how his AI companion is slicing beautiful sashimi. You know, where did he get it? Who delivered it? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
He just affords it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It just
Yeah.
it just arrives. Yeah, incredible writing. The script is just so tight and well constructed and efficient. Not afraid to take its time. A
Very intellectual.
true masterpiece.
All of those tech words. I googled a few of them.
Oh yes,
I blue booked a few of them.
the blue book is in reference to something, but I don't remember what. It's
it
a
really?
journal. It's someone. There was a genius somewhere in history kept their notes inside of a blue book. I remember reading the
Really?
piece of trivia, but I don't remember who it was. If you can find it,
Nah. Something about automobiles.
It wasn't.
No.
no, that's fine. That's
And a lot of
fine.
actual blue books, images of blue books. Yep, no, not that. It's not going to happen
That's
tonight.
fine. That's cool. We'll move.
Yeah.
We've got some time. We'll jump into the direction of the film itself again.
Yeah.
By Alex Garland. So this was his directorial debut, and I
Really?
yes, I feel kind of weird saying it. I was very much on board with the. You know, I was going to be mentioning when we talk about Ex Machina, this was Alex Garland's first film as a filmmaker, like showing his way into the world and that. Fully ready to do all of that. And then I started watching interviews with him this week and found out that he's from what I have seen, he's quite a humble man. Hang on, sorry, my dog is just clawing at the door. I've just got to go and get it. I'll be back in just a moment, everybody. I'm so
gonna go
sorry.
get him?
I'll talk about Alex Garland in just a moment.
All right. Well, I'll talk about Alex Garland while you're gone.
Okay.
I think without knowing any backstory that you're going to bring when you get back into your seat, I am going to say his name is spelled Alex.
Correct.
There's a G after a space. Then an Arland, I think.
No.
I held it pretty well. I held it together, Lee.
I
He's
heard
back.
you did so well. I'm back. My dog is
Yeah.
here now. And
Very insightful.
okay, sit down. I'm so sorry,
Oh,
everybody.
He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
He's going for his water bowl. Hang on. I apologize immensely.
Lap, 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 lap.
Okay, yeah. Well, if you do it again, great. If you've still got it saved, well done. Yes, Alex Garland and direction. I'm so sorry for the dog tangent. There'll be time codes. There'll be time codes below so that you can skip straight to it. But yes, I was talking about how humble
Said how humble he was. Yeah.
Alex Garland is. Yeah, so he very much subscribes to the idea that films are made by a village. You know, it takes a village, and I love that. It's a term that I use constantly with cinema. And oh my god, it's playtime. Apparently, he's running around the lounge room.
That's all right.
I might have to put him away.
No, he's all right. Leave him.
All right.
Leave him. He'll add layers to the audio. It's fine. We know that there's a dog,
It's all right.
and we will all now be listening out for him.
Well, we have to bask.
Yeah.
In the glory of the dog at the moment because I haven't mentioned this on the podcast yet. I might as well do it in the middle of an episode. I was going to do it either at the
Yeah.
beginning or the end. But there's only a couple of episodes left that I will have in the current home that I'm in because I'm moving soon.
Ooh.
So it's going to probably be a different setup. I don't know what it's going to be like in the new house, but I'm very excited to move into the new home. And I think the dog will have his own
Room?
space to be in. Yeah, why not?
I wonder if it'll be as magical if we bring the same shelf and the same decor. We may never actually know.
I think
You may never have had to have mentioned it.
Yeah, I think what might be really nice is because at the moment I live in a very small apartment and I'm actually moving into a house. So what might be nice is if I can get a setup that is big enough to allow two people to be in the same room together, we might be able to start doing this in the same room, which might be nice.
Very cool.
Obviously
Be
born...
like a real conversation.
Yeah, obviously born out of necessity. When we started doing this, we literally couldn't be in the same room together due to what was happening in the world, but now we can, and hopefully that continues in the area that we live in.
Just get a big table.
Yeah, we can get a big table and hopefully do it in the new house. I've already got a room picked out for us, by the way.
Cool.
Which would be fun. I have no idea what it's going to be like, but I'm excited to get into it. Anyway.
All right, well, let's leave your little furry friend to do what he needs to do. Not do what he needs to do. Do his thing.
He's right down here. I'm giving him pats now, so he'll be calm as long as he's kind of being touched.
He's fine. I can't remember where you got up to with Alex Garland. He said it takes a village, which, by the way, is something many parents would attest to. It's also a parenting saying. It takes a village to raise a child.
I can see that. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
It's absolutely true with filmmaking, and he speaks about how because people always ask, because directors are always put on this kind of pedestal, right? We put them up there and look at them as gods of creation. And Alex Garland, when asked, why did you choose this particular film, for directorial debut, and he's like, look, he's like, first of all, just shutting down the notion that the director is the most important person in making a film. Like, they're not. Like, it literally is just a whole bunch of people coming together from all different important areas. Like, you're just as important as the production designer, as the casting director, as the cinematographer, as the actors, as the writer. Like, they're all important. And I've been writing films and been in the film industry for 15 years, and the experience of making this to making one of the other movies that I've been a part of has been no different. I've worked with the same people. I just choose people that are around me who are nice to be with. The only reason that he sort of put on the director's hat specifically for this film was because he wanted to make it with no compromises. And I think that's just amazing, which is really hard to do. If you have a certain vision for a film, a lot of the times if you've got a big production company behind you, they're going to want input. Like, the producers are going to, you have to hire this star, or you've got to do this. And he was absolutely no compromises. So the way that you can kind of ensure that happens is by having quite a low budget, which this film does. So he was able to completely realize his vision, which is such a nice thing to see. Oh, cool. And I'm glad that it pays off, because this film is just amazing, and knowing that it's made at zero compromises and this good, hopefully that allows other production companies to allow cinematographers to allow directors to see their vision like this.
Well, I guess a lot of that, the reason that he was able to as you say, create this thing with no compromises, I guess is nearly fully put into the hands of the executive producers. So they must have fully trusted him. And I guess with a low budget, you're not feeling forced to go for those big production studios that are going to lend you hundreds of millions of dollars that are going to watch every penny and make sure you make as much money as you can out of it. So by going low budget, you go for the people who you trust, who you know will trust you, who you work well with. So that's probably more to the point of why he wanted it low budget, and how he probably got control of it. Because there are writer-directors who also probably can't direct it the exact way they want to direct what they've written as well, due to the fact that they're in the pocket of these executives.
Yeah, he did say in a particular interview, and I don't know exactly how true this is. I think the landscape is changing for the better, depending on the production company. But he did say the larger the budget, the less control. Which probably for the most part is true. I'm very idealistic when it comes to cinema, especially big budget stuff. There's no denying that I love a big blockbuster, as much as I love the small indies like this as well. Literally wearing a Captain Marvel t-shirt. But I love that he was able to make the film that he wanted to make, which is nice, because he has been a writer on films that he said admittedly that they have made changes that he had no control over, and he's upset with himself that he allowed those compromises to happen. So, and I'm sure it happens
suck so bad.
all the time for so many different people in the art world, not even just in cinema, but in everywhere. But yeah, so it's nice that he was able to do this.
I wanted to talk about a couple of things specifically with the direction in this.
Yes, me too.
I'm sure there are so many things that I could bring up. I really liked, and I've got to say it before I forget it, one of the last shots, I think it was the second last shot of the whole thing, where it's an upside down shot of the city street with those shadows, and how, it's a big metaphor for the world being turned on its head.
Yeah.
And, who are we? Are we real people? That you can dive deep into that, but that was incredible. I love shots that make you really look at the screen and think, how does this work? What am I looking at? And it really
Rewound
challenges
it
your
and played it so
perception.
many times.
So beautiful. And just little things like the way they lined it up, like the shadows looked like they were standing right at the bottom of the screen. It was just, I thought that was beautiful. I mean, all the scenery was beautiful when you think about the director of photography as well. It was just amazing. So many lines in this film, but I think that shot, I just wanted to call that out before I forget that.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really nice narrative piece to round it out as well.
Yeah,
and then have her disappear.
I feel the same way. The film is shot so beautifully. Rob Hardy is the cinematographer of this film, who I'd never heard of before. After this, he did Mission Impossible Fallout, which is a brilliant film that I feel, even though it's a big blockbuster and made a little bit of money, I was criminally underseen. Such a gorgeous movie. Those films are only getting better and better. For a franchise is a miracle. So yeah, I love that film. But yeah, I'd never heard of this guy before. But yeah, I can't wait to see what he kind of does, because he's got such a good eye for visual storytelling. Love to see him get some more work.
With films where there's a lot of glass, there was a lot of work behind glass walls here. One of the things it's really challenging for anyone behind a camera and the director to work with is the reflections.
Yeah.
And I think rather than being challenged by the reflections, they actually utilized the reflections with the storytelling. Did you notice that?
Yeah, with Ava stepping in and whenever she kind of is manipulating Caleb, you see her reflection.
You see her reflection,
which is again duality, like another example of the duality in the film. She's being two-faced.
And they don't just do it with her; they do it with Caleb as well. There is a specific scene, and I think there are a few stills of this where Ava is crouched on her knees. She's sitting on her knees on one side and Caleb's on the chair, and it's a side shot, and you see the two of them looking at each other. At the beginning, Caleb feels to have control of the conversation, so you see it with the reflection of Caleb in the shot, so you see Caleb twice. And I saw it as an influential power. You saw that the influence that he had over Ava. And then Ava asks, I think it's where she asks a few questions. He asks another question and the camera changes. But this time when it goes to that wide shot, you now see the reflection of Ava. And she then has the influence. I thought that was uncanny because the camera angle didn't change that much at all. Yet you see a total different thing. So they used it all throughout. Reflections in here were huge. Even that shot we mentioned earlier when the first power outage comes and Caleb goes to get the phone, the shot of Nathan slumped back drinking a beer, the way that scene ends is the camera slowly drops to see Caleb's reflection in the dark table.
Oh, I didn't notice.
So you see this, not sinister, but you see this other side of what his purpose is. There is something else going on there.
Yeah,
so I think that was amazing how they utilised that.
I love the title cards that come up for the sessions. A really good idea, and I think that they really come in on their own when you get to the last one, session 7, because for the most part they're just okay, cool, we're just showing the sessions and progression within the story. then when we get to the very last one, when she's escaped and Nathan's dead and Caleb's knocked out, and then it just comes up, boom, Ava session 7, and we start the last one of her doing her escape.
Session 7. So that's when she becomes part of the world, right?
Yep.
Session 7 is when she is born into this world.
Yeah.
What did you say Ava was? Is meant to be a play on Eve, possibly. And how many days did it take in the Bible to create the world? 7 days. So maybe there's a lot more in terms of the biblical pattern of what's going on here.
There could be. Alex Garland is an incredible writer.
Wow.
So like he goes deep on that stuff. I'm literally just regurgitating information that I've found online for the most part.
Wow.
But yeah, just
That's
amazing.
pretty cool.
But yeah, that's
Like that.
kind of it for the film discussion portion. Unless you had
We
anything
didn't talk
else
too
that
much
you
about
wanted
directing, but
Yeah, well, there's those things that I wanted to kind of mention that how he has the respect for everybody involved, and a few of the decisions that he made, especially in the casting, of wanting to cast particular actors of this caliber for those roles, knowing how important it was going to be with these long scenes of just these three people.
and long elements of silence, so much tension in this world, but so much beauty as well, so much unknown.
Yeah.
Really nice to watch. I definitely have to watch this one again, and I think I'm going to wait until the time comes next year to watch it, and I'm going to make sure that I watch it on this date.
On the particular date that we're
it's,
going to put on, we're going to do that very soon.
I think so, unless I'm busy.
Who knows?
Maybe I'll have long hair.
If
and I'll
you're
be
not
washing
busy
it.
on this
I don't know.
day, then you know what you're going to do.
Well, that's coming up shortly,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
first-
Yeah, in a second. Now we've got our world famous section happening right now for episode 15 for Ex Machina. We've got our hashtag What About When. So now this is where we'd love some contributions from our listeners or our audience. So we're on Twitter and Instagram. We're at the Movie Cal. Our email is themoviecal@gmail.com. All of these are in links in the description below, as well as our website, themoviecalendar.com. And I believe we have a hashtag What About When from Instagram.
We do. From Instagram. Now, this is someone who has given a What About When previously. One or two. I can't remember which. It might have been for The Princess Bride. But this is from Tobias J. Ruse.
Tobias, hello. And Tobias sent us a
says-
lovely email as well at one point.
Oh, cool. Thank you. We love emails. Please help us out. Tell us what we're doing well. Tell us what we can do better.
Yeah.
Or do different. So here's What About When. Okay. What about when Jade, and I'll stop right here. I think he means Kyoko. And we'll talk about that straight after this. What about when? So I'm going to say, what about Kyoko? What about when Kyoko calmly stabs Nathan in the back while he was dragging Ava? No better actual example of the old saying of being stabbed in the back.
Yeah. Well deserved, I think, against Nathan. It's so smooth the way it's just like, it's not a stab. It's just like she just holds it there, and he kind of just backs into it. It's horrifying. The music change as well that occurs to kind of let you know of the power shift is just chef's kiss. It's so perfect.
Yeah, very ominous right through that whole scene. And then when when that happens, and Ava's like, "Yep, my turn."
Yeah, one of my what about whens is what about when Nathan gets stabbed. Yeah,
that was cool. All right,
incredible.
Well, the mix-up Jade Kyoko, that might have been during the scene where Caleb breaks in and looks at that old footage. We see a lot of the AIs come up and their names flash.
Yeah. One of them is a Jade.
Over the screen, so it could have been a mix-up there.
Yeah.
I have a what about when. I have two what about whens.
Okay.
I have one where I observed and I said, what about when Ava is trying on skin like she's shopping for clothes?
Yeah,
It's
that was
almost like
cool.
she's in like a dressing room, a fitting room in a department store or something, and she's opening the cupboards and I'll take this arm. Yep. Oh, I like the torso section here.
Yeah.
I just of the gruesome nature and the really, I guess, inquisitive scene. Like I didn't want to look away. I didn't really know what was happening at the beginning, but I couldn't look past the fact that it reminded me of shopping for clothes. She was just getting dressed.
For me, and I can't believe I haven't mentioned this earlier in the film discussion portion. For me, that is very reminiscent of Frankenstein. She is Frankenstein's monster. Which like this film is hugely referencing that piece of literature. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I can't believe that I didn't bring it up earlier. It's it's a story as old as time, and in the sense of it, this story has been told countless times before. But very much Nathan is Frankenstein, and Ava is Frankenstein's monster, and at the end she kills her maker and leaves, which is all a metaphor, of course, for God and creation and human beings. And it's amazing to think, so that the moment of her kind of making herself in the form that she chooses, is that for me.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What do you have another what about when?
I've got a couple of what about whens. I've got what about when the first power outage happens, and everything goes that deep dark red. And you're freaking out because Caleb can't get out of his room and you don't know what's happening. It's a really cool moment, that having the choice to have the lights, sort of go the way that they go, and for all of the doors to lock, to add to that claustrophobic feel of being in the bunker, was awesome.
And how remember he addressed it at the beginning, where he's getting in the room and he's like, "Well, why are there no windows? Feels a bit claustrophobic, right?" And I thought, well, I wasn't feeling that till you mentioned it. Thanks, mate.
Have you ever stayed in a room with no windows in it?
No, not that I can remember.
I don't think I have once at a motel, and it had a skylight.
Okay, that's
but
all
it was the
right.
skylight.
At least you can tell what time of day
it was
might
like
be.
10 meters in the air, like it was huge. It was a terrifying experience. It's not fun to be in a room like that.
Wow. No, I haven't been there. With that, when the power outage went, Ava puts her hand on some sensor on the wall, I guess a power circuit or something, and then looks at the camera at the same time, doesn't she? She looks straight up at Caleb. That freaked me out. Yeah. All right. Well, I have another what about when, and then you got one more after this, right?
Yep.
What about when we realised Ava was playing Caleb the whole time?
Such a nice reversal. Did not see that one coming whatsoever.
No.
Brilliant piece of filmmaking, excellent piece of writing. Because Caleb is curious as to whether she's been programmed to like him, and like with his insecurities kind of showing, of like, oh, like she couldn't possibly, and he's like, look, I programmed her to be heterosexual. You're the only guy that she's met outside of me, and I'm like a dad. But he didn't think that there's a third option where she's just using you to escape, just pretending the whole thing. It breaks Caleb, like shatters him.
See, I didn't even believe that. Even looking at it in the story when it was happening, I'm like, Nathan's just trying to freak you out, Caleb. It's fine. Yeah. She likes you. Yeah, I thought the same thing. I wanted to believe.
Yeah, me too. Like all the way to the end where she's going. And my last hashtag what about when is what about when Ava leaves Caleb in the house, and
she's in that lift.
Yeah,
and as the door shuts, she just at the last second looks. Oh. Yeah. So she knew what she was doing.
Yeah,
she wasn't just.
He realizes when she taps to get into the lift, and then he's staring at her at the door, and is just starts rightfully so just freaking out. That moment is just horrific.
And the way they
awesome
use
end.
the sound in this whole scene, like the directing in this, with such low impact movement. You know, this was a murder scene where even the stabbing was so slow and quite pretty when you think about it. You know, it was just gentle, a slow staggering away death. They're emotionless. Then the music gets into this massive. Is it a crescendo? I don't know. It just gets
builds.
so loud.
Yeah.
I had to turn my speakers down.
Yeah.
I had the family in the house. They're in a different room. I had to turn my speakers
It's
down.
deliberately
because it just
it's
got
deliberately
crazy.
unsettling. I think it's supposed to be
Yes.
unsettling.
It did a great job of it.
Yeah.
And then for Caleb to be screaming in the room, "Let me out!" and then mid-scream, it shows outside, totally soundproof.
Yeah.
And you hear nothing, and there's just silence.
Yeah. Awesome.
Those bits of direction are just beautiful.
Yeah.
Just beautiful. And when she walks out, she smiles at the bottom of the stairs. Just amazing.
Yeah. Incredible.
Sorry.
Didn't
Cut you off.
haven't had a shout out yet for how good Oscar Isaac's death is in the film. I think it's worth its own special mention. It's one of my favorite movie deaths. It's so good, just the way that he turns around and is sort of walking off in complete and utter disbelief with a knife sticking out of his chest. Of just, he says something. He swears. I'm not going to swear, but he's like, "Oh God, unbelievable!" And then just sort of sits down and leans against the wall and dies. It's great. Yeah, just the disbelief on his face is wonderful.
It was it was pretty cool. I'm glad that he went like that. I'm glad that the AI got to do him over. I just found he was in the film Triple Frontier.
Oscar Isaac.
That was what I'd seen. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was the
I haven't
film.
seen that one.
Yeah, ex-military guy. Anyways, it was really cool.
Nice.
All right. Well,
It's time.
there are what about whens, right?
Yep. Thank you so
We're
much,
done.
Tobias, for your hashtag #WhatAboutWhen. Keep them coming. Very much appreciate those.
Totally agree.
But yeah, so now it's time for the movie calendar. So this is where we place the film on the calendar, so that if you're on this particular day in the future and you don't know what to watch, you'll be able to watch Ex Machina. You'll be able to see it there, find it on a streaming service, buy or rent it. But you'll already have it. This film's a classic already. You should have this one in the library. So now we didn't receive any contributions this week for Ex Machina date, so we got to choose one ourselves, which we really like doing. There's nothing really that stands out in the film itself as to where it should go, nor do I have any kind of significant date for me in my life for it. So I had a couple of different dates in mind with that. So we're going to go with the release date of the film. And we've chosen the Australian release date for this one. So that will be May 7th. So May 7th is when Ex Machina is going on the movie calendar. It is the first film to appear in the month of May. So congratulations to Ex Machina for that one. You will be surrounded by films in the future. But yeah, so that's where it's going. It's going on May 7th.
May 7. And I'm on the IMDb page now, and I can see May 7, 2015, Australia in brackets. So I'm guessing 2014 it was released elsewhere in the world.
Yep.
And we got it in 2015.
Well, no, if you...
Okay,
Are you on IMDb?
Yeah.
Scroll to the top, because they're in date order, aren't they? If you scroll to the top, it'll have there's a December 2014 date, and it's just a film festival.
We'll have to do that another
That's
time.
fine,
But
don't
it does
worry
say
about it.
2014 after the title.
It was released...
And then afterwards, it says Australia.
Worldwide, it was released in 2015, because it was eligible for the Oscars in the year 2015.
Cool.
Which is
Cool.
Which is that.
Well, I'm down with May 7.
Yeah, so May 7th for Ex
Yeah.
Machina. Lock it in. It'll be on the calendar. Thank you again to Tobias for contributing. Thank you to Terrence for this week. It was great.
Thank you, Lee.
Next week, as we already know, we're going to be talking about Lulu Wang's The Farewell. Very excited for that one. And then the week after, to round off the month of September, before we announce our next block of films for the October, for the month of October, we're going to be doing Jurassic Park at the end of September. Now, call to action for anybody out there who's made it this far into either the podcast or the video podcast here on YouTube. There is a link between this film and Jurassic Park. And if you
What? You
know
didn't
it,
warn me about this.
no, I know. If you know it, please let us know. Comment below on YouTube here. If you haven't subscribed, please do so already. Give us a like. It really helps us out. Share it with a friend. Leave us a review if you're listening on your favorite podcast app of choice. We really appreciate it.
Can I comment on our own channel?
No, you
What
are
if
forbidden.
I find out?
Yeah, if you find it, I
Fine.
know that you didn't pick up on it.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Sure.
There is
I know it.
I had to
know
check
exactly
to see
what it
I had to
is.
check to see if I was right. I was like, I think that's the thing. But yeah.
Well, I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm right.
I will, if you like Terrence, I can tell you as soon as we stop recording.
Yes, please tell me.
All
I
right.
have no idea.
Well, I'll put you out of your misery. As for everybody else, good luck with the hunt. Thank you so much again, and we will see you next week.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.